Hey everyone, welcome to this week's podcast episode. This week you're in for a special treat actually because we are re-releasing one of our episodes that we put out last November. So basically it's all about balancing things out for the holiday season and just keeping your shit together. That's basically the theme of our podcast, I feel like this month, because November starts to kick off like the crazy season going into the holidays. And so, yeah, that's why we thought it'd be a good idea to re-release this one. We thought it was a great episode. I did clip out a bunch of the beginning section of that because it was just like a catch up and like a random story about this guy who died like right outside my house on Halloween. And that was really crazy. So we went on like a tangent forever on that. So I took that out so you don't have to suffer through that again. But then, yeah, the rest is just about how to keep sane during the holidays, and on track with your goals, those types of things. Um, we did have a different episode planned, but like I said, November kicks off the crazy season and things have gotten really busy for Taylor and I. Thank God we're going on a break soon because I think we're gonna need it. I actually have to fly out to California in the morning, at like 5 a.m. So that's gonna be really shitty. I have to go there for work for like 2 days and then beat bop boot back down to Utah for regular life all over again. So we planned on recording an episode together and then life just got too busy and we didn't get the chance to do it. We were going to do it tonight and I was like, listen, I can make it happen, but I have to be at the airport at 5 a.m. So, yeah, I think this episode is actually a really good one. Hopefully you guys appreciate it. All the new listeners, hopefully you enjoy it. And we will catch you on next week's episode that's going to come out right before Thanksgiving. We're talking all about gratitude, baby. You know, we love that. So that one is going to be a really good episode. I'm really excited for that. So yeah, I hope you enjoy and we will see you next week. Okay. What we wanted to talk to you guys about today, kind of going with the last episode that we put out, we wanted to talk about having a healthy and balanced holiday season. And I don't know, did you put this on our list of topics?
I don't know, actually.
I don't know where it came from, but I
Hmm.
saw it and I was like, well, it is the fucking holidays. So I thought it would be really great to talk about. But I also, it kind of gave me a little bit of stress when I was preparing for this episode. I don't know if you felt that way.
Um, yes and no. I don't know. I feel like the holidays are just so hard, to be healthy and balanced. So I did feel a little stressed about that.
I think I just was thinking, because like I'm so excited. Christmas is for sure going up early at my house. I don't know who I have become. I don't know what is going on, but like I would put Christmas up this weekend if I had time this weekend, for sure. And like that's never happened. I've always been like, once Thanksgiving is over, Christmas can go up. It would be like the day after for sure. That's always been my limit. But this year I'm like, why not? Like it feels like it should be happening. But when I was thinking about like having a healthy and balanced holiday season to make my notes, I was just thinking like, dang, the holidays are so chaotic. They really bring
Hmm.
a lot of like your time, money, yourself all seem to just like fly away.
Yeah, they really do. Sorry, I was getting blue light glasses because I'm getting a headache, but I think these are my real glasses because I put them on and was like, oh, I can see. Anyways, yeah, it's very hard to stay balanced at the holiday season.
So I think like what's important, because we already talked about like hosting and being a good attendee, but I think it's also important to like talk about maintaining your own routines and maintaining a healthy balance with everything that you have going on. And that ties into so many different things. Like, not only is it important for you to have a healthy lifestyle and a balanced lifestyle during busy things like this, it's also important for you to like be aware of like your budget, your family, like all your workload, like every ounce of your life is going to be affected if you're not paying attention to each one of these little bubbles.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like I wrote down a bunch of like challenges and pitfalls that you can experience during the holiday season because I feel like it's important to highlight these because I think sometimes you forget like what triggers there are or what areas or signs you can like focus on. For me, it's really helpful when I identify like areas or categories to think like where things fall into so I can pay attention to them. So the challenges and pitfalls that I came up with are there is severe amounts of food. Like there's excess
Mm-hmm.
food like crazy that's not healthy food for the most part. It's usually not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You're usually eating out a lot more, which then causes you to spend even more money during the holidays. So you're spending more money in general, but you're also spending more because you're eating out or you're buying stuff to go to holiday parties or to bring a dish or whatever. I think sometimes we get really hyped up into the season and the excitement, and we just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make this, and we don't think about what does that cost us at the grocery store to make this and show up to this
Mm-hmm.
event.
Mm-hmm.
It takes away from your time. There can be sicknesses during the holidays. You're staying up later than you normally would, and then also having to show up to work the next day. So you are really cutting yourself like short on like the sleep time, I would say. Your stress levels will definitely increase. Your social batteries will definitely like they will increase and then they will deplete super quick. If you're not paying attention, your social batteries could be super out of whack. Your expectations can be a challenge and a pitfall. And then also the expectations of people around you are a challenge. So it's not only your expectations, but other people's expectations. Alcohol is like usually in excess for sure around the
Mm-hmm.
holidays. And
Mm-hmm.
then if you also have like a lack of support or a support system during the holidays, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
those are like things that are almost like you need to dodge those things a lot. Like they could be really bad for you.
Mm-hmm. I would also add on there, your boundaries get tested a lot during the holidays.
That's a good one to add because I think because I don't have like much family, I don't run into that very often. Like my
Mm-hmm.
boundaries, I have like 5 people in my life and it's like I actually hang out with them and want to be around them. So it's like I don't really no one's really testing my boundaries very often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, boundaries get tested a lot around the holidays for a lot of people, whether it's for family or work. Like if you don't want to go to your work party, but you feel like you have to. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like boundaries are very loose and open around the
I mean,
holidays.
I would
And
say, listen, I don't I guess it really depends what's going on, but for the most part, you 1000% need to show up to that work party. People take note. I know for a fact that if you don't show up to the holiday party, management's judging you.
I always show up to my
Um,
holiday party.
I
That was
like a
not an
holiday.
example of me.
I like holiday parties. I look forward to them. I mean, sometimes it's also like, God, I don't want to do this, but it's also like, I gotta get dressed up.
Yeah.
So I would say too, like with the boundaries thing, I would also add to like your personal relationship with your like spouse usually gets tested a lot during the holidays because it's
Mm-hmm.
really busy and it takes away time from like your guys' normal routines. And I hate to say it, but men are just really fucking needy. And like the second you stop paying attention and making your world revolve around them and you focus it on other people, they tend to start being like, what about me? Help me, I'm poor.
Don't you want to hang out with
Do you
me?
even love me? But then also you're spending money and you're more stressed out and then you take it out on your spouse. Like I do this every
Mm-hmm.
year. I'm always like, oh my God, like blah, blah, blah. And I'm always like, dude, relax.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would say like it tests a lot. It tests a lot of areas, I would
Mm-hmm.
say, the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they also bring a lot of really good things. And I think that's what's really hard is like for the most part, people get very wrapped up in like these pitfalls and these challenges. And it's very, very hard for us to remember and enjoy the like good parts of the season. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that's why it's important to have a topic like this so that we can like highlight certain things, give tips and tricks, and then hopefully people can find a better balance to make it through so they don't leave it with resentment. Because
Mm-hmm.
I for sure have been in that space. You for sure have been in that space because you fucking hate Christmas.
I know. I do hate Christmas. I'm actually excited for Christmas this year, which is very strange for me, but Christmas is definitely not my favorite holiday. Um, I don't know.
Sorry,
I don't
did
even
you
know
hear that?
why. What?
My dog's going crazy.
Mm-mm.
They never do that. They're barking.
What?
How dare you bark? I don't know what they're barking at. Who knows? Sorry.
It's fine.
Continue.
But yeah, I'm just not a big Christmas person, so I don't
But
know.
I think I would say you haven't always been the level of disdain towards Christmas. I think that there were a few years where it was maxing you out a lot and you were
Mm-hmm.
feeling very spread thin, taken advantage of, like you're giving more and receiving less, like you were giving more than you were getting, not in like presents, maybe in presents, but I would say like more in like energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really made you start to be like, you know what, fuck Christmas.
Yeah, I don't know what, like, I can't pinpoint one or two specific things that made me just like not love Christmas. It just, there's so much expectation put on it. And it's like, for what? And I also just don't love Christmas music. So the fact that Christmas music is fucking everywhere drives me nuts.
I love Christmas music. I think expectations are a huge thing and a huge part of why Christmas can be really stressful. I would say that I feel like there's been a shift over the last couple years where people are starting to be like, you know what, like fuck your expectations, fuck the fact that you think that you have to give a present to everyone. I think we almost put those on
Mm-hmm.
ourselves sometimes too.
Yeah, for
I think we
sure.
grew up in a generation where people
You gave
were if
presents
you
to everybody.
yes, you give them to
Mm-hmm.
everybody, you show up for everybody, and if
Mm-hmm.
you get something from somebody, you have to also give them something. And so it was always like, fuck, I didn't get this person a present. Now I gotta go give them a
Mm-hmm.
present. And like, you just, I don't know how I did it back in the day. Honestly, in our 20s, I
I
have no
know.
idea.
I
Like,
know.
no clue how I got everyone presents and pulled
Mm-hmm.
everything off. I was giving like fucking neighbors presents. I was like, so many
But that
things.
is like, that totally is our generation. Like growing up, we gave the entire, like my mom would stress out so bad about what the neighbor gift was going to be for the year and how like the poem would go with whatever it was. And so like when I moved out on my own, I was like, shit, I got to do neighbor gifts. And finally I was like, I fucking hate neighbors. Like I'm not doing anything. And I don't do neighbor gifts and I don't get neighbor gifts. And that's fine. But part of my stress too would be like, I wouldn't know who was going to give me a gift. So then if they'd give me a
Mm-hmm.
gift and I wouldn't have something, I'd be like, oh, I left it at home or like make some stupid excuse. And that just made me really dislike Christmas.
Yeah, I think that for a while, Christmas spirit was very hard to have. Also, Thanksgiving, like, because that's part of the holiday season. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have a huge hate for Thanksgiving. And then I started creating Thanksgiving the way that I wanted it to be. Like, I was having Thanksgiving where I showed up, I did the thing, I was putting in all this work, putting all this effort in, and then people would just show up and do nothing. And I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, I don't even like this food. And I'm over here cooking it and cleaning it and doing all these things. And you're just sitting on your ass. Like, it wasn't fun for me. So then I was like, I'm gonna start going on vacation on Thanksgiving or doing something that I enjoy because I don't even like the holiday. I don't like Thanksgiving. I don't enjoy it. I think the food, like the only thing I like is mashed potatoes and like maybe a turkey sandwich the next day. I don't even like it the actual day of. So I was just like,
Dang, I love
I think
Thanksgiving.
if you can highlight certain things that are like going wrong within your holiday season and making them what you want, the expectations have changed. I think that it's allowed and it's more acceptable. And that's like a boundary you put in place where it's like, this year I'll come home, the next year I won't. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
usually try and like do every other sometimes so that I don't know. I guess I still feed into it where I don't want to be a total asshole, but there are times where I'm like, oh, it is nice to be around family sometimes. So I
Mm-hmm.
think finding a balance, realizing why you have something that like bothers you about a holiday is a huge way to help you fix it and navigate it moving forward. But if you just always go into it every year of just like stressed, frazzled, chaos, I don't like it, I'm in a negative place, blah, and then you just rinse and repeat, you'll never actually figure out why you're pissed about it. You have to like actually
Mm-hmm.
sit and think like, why am I actually not enjoying this?
Mm-hmm. That is something that I definitely had to do because like even if you don't like Christmas or the holiday season, it's still going to come around every year. And finally, I think it was probably last year that I was like, I've got to change my mindset around this because I already am having seasonal depression. I don't need to have holiday depression on top of it. So, like, I have to find some positives. I have to decorate my house because there was like a year that I didn't decorate because I was just like such a Grinch. And I really like had to change my mindset around it. And that really has helped a ton.
I do think things like that help a lot. But I think that comes down to like being mindful about stuff. So like
Mm-hmm.
all of these challenges and pitfalls that I identified, like being mindful of those. Like you have to pay attention to these things. If you're not paying attention to the food you're eating, you're not paying attention to how much alcohol you're drinking, if you're not paying attention to your budget, like you
Mm-hmm.
have to be mindful and intentional this entire holiday season.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll go through it resenting it, maxing yourself out. Like so many different variables happen from it if you're not paying attention to these things, I think.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that.
With that though, I think the biggest thing that people stress about around the holidays are A, expectations, B, money. Honestly, money is probably A.
Mm-hmm.
And then also on top of that, like their time and the food and like the things they're consuming, like although we like indulging on the food, we're not paying attention to the fact that that actually feeds into the negativity already. So like when you're
Mm-hmm.
eating bad and you're drinking, if you don't drink, like that's fine, but like you're still probably eating a lot of different things and you're probably not paying attention to your workout routines anymore. All of those things feed into the other things. So if your body's
Mm-hmm.
not right and your mind's not right, it's just gonna make all of those things worse.
Yeah, that was my biggest thing is sticking to your routine during the holiday season. And especially like, so me, I've been trying to eat like a lot cleaner and like not a lot of fast food, not a lot of processed food, like cooking more vegetables and things like that. And I can definitely tell, like before my wedding, like the week before my wedding, we were just so busy. We were just kind of eating whatever we could eat, whether it was fast food or frozen pizza or whatever it was. And I definitely could feel in my body and my mental health definitely was not as good as it should be and could have been. And so being very mindful of that going into the holiday season, like what you're putting in your body definitely contributes to your mood, your overwhelm, your stress, your anxiety, all of those.
I totally feel that because right now I'm still on like super soft food diet and I was eating like most of the time just soup at home and stuff, but it was like constantly. And I'm on like, I don't even know, it feels like week 3 at this point. I can't even, I think it's close to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it like last weekend I started to be like, I cannot eat another motherfucking soup. Like I have to get one from a restaurant. Like I can't keep making these soups. Like I'm going crazy. Oh my god, another fruit fly during podcasting. What is happening? So I ended up getting Olive Garden and I was like, it was really great. I mean, it wasn't. It was great because it was different. But then the next day, my family got Sonic. And then the next day, I don't remember what happened after that. We had something else. And like we've been eating out multiple times and we haven't been eating out hardly at all. And I've noticed how different it makes me feel. And I can only imagine
Mm-hmm.
how different it makes my family feel because I was eating very limited things. Like last night
Mm-hmm.
we had Cafe Rio and I got the soup and like rice and beans. I missed it. But like they're eating the full on meal and I was just sitting there like when you take a second and you like aren't eating the same thing and indulging in the same thing, you start to look at and be like, holy shit, like when you consume these extra things, you're not
Mm-hmm.
even realizing because it just seems so exciting and good and it's like a treat and a reward, whatever you like put on it mentally. You're not even realizing how much you're consuming. I think eating out is like one of the worst things that you can do, actually, although it's so nice it
Mm-hmm.
is so bad. And the only thing I can think, because like I don't feel super gross, the only thing I can think is that I keep waking up every day and working out. So I would say like if you're going to be indulging and going to all these different things or having to eat out because it's like, let's meet up for dinner, let's do this, let's do that, going to this party and there's this food, like make sure you're staying physically active because I think that's the only way,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's like the bare minimum. All I'm doing right now is like mostly walking, and even that starts to hurt my mouth. But I notice on the days like there's been a couple of days where I haven't, and I notice on those days I feel worse. My mental space is weird. I feel
Mm-hmm.
gross, and I'm just kind of like a blob here on earth. That's how I feel on those days.
Mm-hmm. No, it's so true. Yesterday, I'll share like a current example. I've been suffering like pretty bad vertigo since Saturday for some reason. I don't know why I'm having this vertigo problem happening, but I haven't worked out at all. And yesterday, my mental health was just so terrible. I had therapy and I was just like not in a good place. And I was like, I have got to go do something, even if it's just 10 minutes. Like, I have to go move my body. And I ended up working out for like an hour and 15 minutes, and I felt like a whole new person afterwards. And so, really, if you are not feeling good mentally or even physically, just try to do a small movement of your body. I'm dying at
Sorry.
you trying to catch this vibe. Just try to do a small movement of your body because I promise you, it helps so much. It does not need to be like, oh, I'm going to go run a marathon in the middle of Christmas celebrations. Like, no, just wake up a little early, go on a walk, or lift a few weights, or stretch a little bit. Like, it will make a very big difference.
One thing I'm doing right now is I have done it in the past. I'm doing like push-ups every day and I have like an alarm that goes off. And even though that's sometimes like the most of my strength training, I already feel like stronger from it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
just that little bit of like, here's 25 to 30 push-ups a day. Like nothing. I mean, they're not real ones, they're on my knees. Let's calm down, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's just weird doing something that makes you feel powerful and like is so intentional like that really changes so much. And like I know it's going to get colder, so like walking might not be an option for you or something like that, but also the cold air is actually really really
Really
good for your
good for
mental
you.
state.
Mm-hmm.
Like bundle up, take your dogs on a walk, walk around the block, literally just one block is
Mm-hmm.
really not it will take 15 minutes, maybe 20, and like it could completely change your mood and completely change how you feel. Also, like if you are at a holiday party or you're eating a lot, like tell people, like there's times where we'll be like, dude, I ate so much, you guys want to go on a quick walk, and we'll just go on a
Mm-hmm.
walk around the block, and it helps so much. Just like get moving and it will totally change your like everything, honestly.
It really
But I think
does.
that like honestly movement, we say it so much it sounds like super obnoxious, I feel like every time I even say it at this point, but it really really changes things.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a list of like things you can do to be mindful around eating and drinking during the holidays. I don't know if you have any tips on that, but I have a list, obviously. So if you are going into the holidays and you know that you're going to be eating and drinking like a motherfucker, because hello, that's me. um it just happens. I really love food. I'm sorry,
I do
and I'm not
too.
sorry. Like I honestly have zero guilt around the holidays, around my drinking. I enjoy every part of it. Like I love going to all these celebrations, having my drinks with my friends, having some fucking cheese. Like I never regret it. But I think it's because I've created habits. But if you don't have all these habits and you don't love it the way that I do and you feel totally fine going into it and just drinking and eating your life away, here's the list that you need to follow. One, portion control. I think this is one I actually am very mindful about, but enjoying the treats that are there, but in moderation, is totally going to save you. Like being mindful of the portion sizes, how much of it you're eating, the flavor, like savoring it and doing it slowly rather than like super aggressive. There's been times where like I for sure have not done that. I will show up and I'll be like, this is fucking amazing. I'm gonna eat all of it. And then I'm like, I hope no one's seeing how much I'm eating of this. But I think there's a huge thing of like portion control, because if you're slow about it, that's actually number two, eat slowly. But if you're slow about it and you're intentional and mindful of like what you're putting on your plate, you more than often are taking more than you actually want to eat or can eat. And then you're like stuffing your face afterwards. Like
Mm-hmm.
take it in small portions and like know that you're there for a certain amount of time. And like if it's gone, that's okay. Like you will survive. I've for sure over ordered or overtaken on food because I'm like, I feel like, what if I'm hungry, or what if this, what if it's all gone? And I've regretted it every single time, 1000%.
This is what I really need to work on. I have zero control. around food around the holidays. I do not know what it is. I do not know what monster gets unleashed inside of my brain,
Cookie
but
Monster.
this is really what I'm going to be working on this year is like portion control. And Tony is so good about this. And I really need to be better about that.
I don't know what it is for me. I don't know when the switch happened for me, but like I for sure like I don't know if you noticed, but they're like when we have like the spread out, I'm usually just standing
Mhm.
there talking to people and like sipping on a drink and like nibbling here and there. I don't know when it shifted because I know I used to just like load up my plate and then I'd be stuffed
Mhm.
and like felt like shit. I don't know when it shifted, but I
Mhm.
know that like I used to do it. I wish I knew like what I had done or what happened in my brain to be like, oh, I don't actually care as much about the food. I care about the
Mhm.
people. I have no idea. But portion
Yeah.
control is number one. I think that this will save you for sure. The second one is eating slowly. Really enjoying it will help with the portion control too, because if you slow down and eat it, you're actually gonna like savor it rather than like scarfing it down where you feel like you never actually tasted it. And so that's why you usually eat more. So like the slower you eat, the more you're enjoying it. And then the more you're my grandma used to actually say this to my sister all the time because she used to eat so fast and then she'd eat so much. And my grandma would be like, you're not giving your brain enough time to communicate with your stomach. Your stomach can't even catch up to your brain to be like, hey, bitch, we're fucking full. Please stop eating because you're just like scarfing, and you're eating so fast. You're like, I want more, I want more. And I've lately had to like think about this sometimes because there's like a few meals that like Wally and I for sure love. And we'll be like, oh, I think I might, it's usually tacos, but we'll be like pretty full, but it was so good that we'll be like, I think I'm gonna go back for more. Or like, I probably shouldn't do it, but I think I want more. And then I'll be like, let's wait. Like, let's
Yeah.
wait till the next commercial, something. And then by that next commercial, we're both like, I don't want any more. But my grandma used to always say, like, you're eating so fast that your brain cannot tell your stomach, and your stomach cannot tell your brain, we need to stop. And so I think that there's something really important with like eating slower. People also say too, like having like a drink, like a water or whatever it is, like making sure that you drink fluids while you're eating because that also helps you slow down. Like I don't have that problem because I actually am like a over consumer of fluids while I drink. Like I don't know if I have a I just have the biggest fear
What?
about having a small throat because my grandma had to get her throat widened, and I think it's a genetic thing now that I just remembered this. Fuck. But I've always had to have like water or a drink. Like I can only have a couple bites and then I have to drink something. Like if you don't have something and you're drinking it, I think that's another thing that helps with eating slower is like taking a few bites, drinking, because then it gives you like more time for everything to process.
Mhm.
On the list, I also have healthy swaps, which is like so hard during the holidays.
It
Like
is hard.
it's not easy. One thing that I sounds so stupid now that I say it out loud. One of the healthy swaps that I have like always like thought is like so great for me is the cheese ball at Harmon's. They have like a jalapeno cheese ball, and I always only buy it with cucumber slices, and I love to eat it with the cucumber slices. And in
Ooh,
my
that would be
brain,
good.
it's like the healthy swap, but like really I'm loading up a pile of cream cheese on a cucumber, which it's still healthier. It is. I shouldn't
Mhm.
discredit it, but it sounds so stupid at the end of the day because otherwise you'd be eating a chip, which is carbs and sodium and all these other things.
Mhm.
But every time if I'm buying that cheese ball, I'm buying those cucumber slices because I'm like, this is the healthy swap.
An example I have for this, so I work in a medical office and I worked in medical offices for a long time. And I'm telling you, medical offices are the most unhealthy places on the planet, especially around the holidays. And so anytime we have anything that like a potluck or anything, or sometimes I'll just do it just because I always bring a veggie and or a fruit tray because everybody brings treats or rolls or carbs of some sort, like empty carbs, and nobody ever brings vegetables or fruit. So I will always bring that so that that's always an option. And that's always the first thing that's gone because people are like, oh my gosh, something healthy. So if you are bringing things, places, especially like work functions, try to go for the healthier version of something rather than a sweet or cookies or something because everybody's going to bring that.
I think too with healthy swaps, like the easiest one is homemade. Like
Mm-hmm.
I know it takes more time and it might cost you more sometimes, honestly, maybe not. But what?
Just don't make no bake cookies with bananas.
Or deviled eggs with avocados. Um sorry, that's an inside joke. But um
If you've
if you
ever
make it
wondered
at
about a
home,
healthy swap for no bake cookies and adding a banana instead of whatever ingredient that takes the place of, don't do it because it literally tastes like throw up.
it is throw up. It's just
Anyways, go on.
regurgitation. Clearly, someone made us no bakes with bananas and it was unacceptable. And deviled eggs with avocados, also unacceptable. I put them in my disposal. Um, but making something at home is a huge way to like help with the health. Oh my gosh. Those of you that watch us on YouTube, you just get a freaking show because every time you get a light show from Taylor, I got gnats. The light show that just happened was extreme. Need some water really fast. That was weird and
That was
uncomfortable.
weird. It always happens.
Maybe your dad makes no bakes with bananas. Passionate.
Probably.
Passionate. But making it homemade, like buying stuff from the store is actually really processed, even if it's from the bakery, even if
Mm-hmm.
it's from like you think it's like better. Honestly, Harmon's is legit though. I think they do really well at like not making things overly fattening. But like buying a 7-layer dip from the grocery store compared to making it yourself, you're probably gonna save in calories. It's going to be healthier for you. So anytime that you can like swap things out, a cheesecake from home, all of those things, I truly believe that like you can make those healthier by
Mm-hmm.
not buying them, because I don't think people realize how much sodium especially is in, or just like random additives that they're putting in stores. Like
Mm-hmm.
if it's not made from the bakery, especially, it's for sure full of additives because they have to keep it good until someone
Mm-hmm.
buys it in the store. So like if you can make it from home, that's great. Also remember that like holiday treats are full of freaking sugar. Like they are packed, like the treats for the holidays are not meant to be healthy. No one signed up for any of these and was like, let's make bitches skinny. They were like, load it up and make these bitches fat so they survive winter. Like 1000%. So just like pay attention to what's on the table, pay attention to what you're bringing. If you can bring something and make it a little bit better, do it. If not, just do it, but be mindful about your portion control for sure.
Mm-hmm.
um with drinking, I would say staying hydrated is a huge thing, like throughout the day. If you know you're going to a party that night or like a get together, whatever you want to call it, make sure you drink water that day. There's so many times where we end up hanging out and I'm like, I did not drink enough water today for this. Like
Mm-hmm.
I told myself that like that morning, make sure you're drinking water, but then I got busy and I didn't drink water. And I feel it for sure during the night. Like I can't drink as much alcohol, which is a weird thing I've noticed as I've gotten older. If I'm dehydrated, I can't drink as much alcohol.
I'm the opposite. If I'm dehydrated, my body's like, ooh, liquid, fill me up, whatever it is.
More champagne, please.
Last year I got so wasted and it was
It
not
was
good. And
great.
then the next day when I was questioning all my life decisions, I was like, I think I maybe had half a glass of water yesterday and the entire day. So,
Yes. Drinking water is super important, but then also like not only staying hydrated, but staying hydrated like before, but staying hydrated during that night. Like if you've had a few drinks in a row, take a break. They always say like
mhm,
one drink of this and then one drink of water. I can't do that. I can't stick to that plan. Give me a glass of champagne. I'm going to fill it right back up as soon as it's empty. Like I'm not going for the water, but have a water glass or something. I take my Starbucks cups. That's really helpful for me knowing that I have water, because if I have it, I usually will reach for it because I do get
mhm.
thirsty.
Mm-hmm.
So drink it throughout the day, especially before you go, but also drinking and being hydrated during the day actually helps you not overeat. So like
Mm-hmm.
if you're hydrated, you're not going to overeat as much, but then on top of that, let's add to that, make sure you eat before you go to the party. Like don't starve yourself. Back in the day we used to starve ourselves because we knew we were going somewhere. It was like I want to eat everything possible there, or I'm drinking tonight, so I don't want to eat anything because it's calories. I don't even know what was going through our brains, but like that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Like that was so weird that we used to do that.
I mean, honestly, though, it's hard because sometimes you do get busy. I will say Taylor's really bad at this. Sorry for calling you out right now, but you're
It's all
really
right.
bad at not eating and then showing up and being
Mm-hmm.
like, I haven't eaten all day. And I'm like, bitch, you knew you were
That's
going to be coming
actually
here.
something that I'm working on this year too, because I am notorious for that. I just, especially on Saturdays, if I'm going down to Salt Lake after teaching yoga, because I'm like, okay, I got to teach yoga. I got to go home. I got to shower. I got to collect all my things and then go down. And so, like, there's no time to eat. There's sure as shit is time to drink coffee. So I'll show up jittery as hell and be like, I need food right now, or I'm going to like pass
Mm-hmm.
out, or I'll have a sip of champagne and I'm drunk. So, yes, that is actually something I'm working on this
I think that
season.
it's definitely like it is hard because I don't know if you're like me, but when I like work out, I can't eat right away. Like
I can't either.
I
Yeah.
need like time. I can have coffee or I can have something else, but like food
Mm-hmm.
is not on my agenda. But I again, not sure when I made these like conscious decisions in my brain, but I've been very like, oh, I know that we're drinking tonight. I know that we're going to be eating and drinking. I'm still going to eat lunch. I need to make a sandwich. I need to make this. Like, oh, I need to get the egg bites, like whatever. Like when I was going to your wedding, I knew I was gonna be eating the fuck out of that charcuterie board, but I still hit Starbucks on my way and I was like, I gotta get a bacon Gouda breakfast sandwich because like I need real food. I need to make sure that I have something else in my stomach because it just leads to overeating and over drinking. But then on top of it, you don't ever feel like you actually got the food. Like I don't know what it is,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that's why we overeat is because like for some reason our body still isn't I don't know if alcohol like makes your brain stop thinking it's full. I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
But you really do overeat and drink when you haven't eaten all day or been hydrated all day, for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
And I think that just comes down to being mindful with your drinking too. Like back in the day, I used to show up and be like, how many fucking shots can I take tonight? Like, let's get rowdy. And like now I don't feel that way.
Uh-uh.
Like
Now I think I would die.
I do drink a decent amount of wine and champagne, 1000%, or tequila. I can for sure slam tequila, but like I'm mindful about it, you know, like I'm paying attention to like how my body feels, how I'm feeling. Do I need water? Do I need like should I have that shot? Should I have a glass? Like always fill my glass, but like I'll sip on it, I'll take it slower.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it just comes down to being mindful about what's going on and
Mm-hmm.
being like instead of reaching for more food, like stopping and like checking in with like, how do I actually feel? Why was I going to do that? Was that out of habit? Because there's so many times, if there's a dip and a chip, you're for sure doing it out of habit so many times. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I see something and I'm talking to someone, maybe I'm feeling uncomfortable. And so I'm like, how can I distract myself right now? Let me take a chip. Like,
Mm-hmm.
figuring out how you can be mindful. I don't remember who I was listening to. Someone was telling me that like they like pinch themselves when they start like feeling this so that they can like try and bring themselves back to reality and be more mindful. And I think that that's part of the problem is like anxiety, food, alcohol, boundaries are being crossed, you're stressed, you're feeling like you're finally able to relax, but then like there's all this temptation around you. Like figuring out what you can do to like bring yourself to the present moment is huge. Like making sure you can feel your body and your brain can connect the fact that you like touched yourself. Like I have that sounded so gross. Don't fucking touch your vagina, please. But
Ooh,
like
I'm
I
here.
notice sometimes like I will like stretch my hands because I'm trying to bring like feeling back to like you get so wrapped up in social situations or you're suddenly getting anxiety or you're like I don't know, your body just gets in like this routine and like instead of eating or whatever, I just like start to like stretch my hands because I'm like, all right, like bring yourself back to the fucking earth, like calm down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those are my only tips, although they took 10 years.
I think those are great tips.
Do you have any other tips for mindful eating and drinking during the holidays?
Meditate. Just kidding. I just have to throw that in every episode. No, I think I'm
Please
good.
don't meditate at the dinner table.
Oh.
The other thing I have too around all of this is like managing your stress and prioritizing yourself during the season is huge. Like it really can be hard and you'll get swept away. Like we mentioned it a little bit last episode, but like your time and your money and your mental state will be swept away if you're not managing it. The best way I manage these things is I have a list, obviously. I have a note in my phone. I pay attention to what I'm buying for people. I have a list of like who I'm buying Christmas presents for, who I need to prioritize. And then every time I buy something for them, I'm putting it on that note because I think it's really easy to just be like buying stuff and then you put it in the corner. Like I don't know if you do this because like I do it mostly because I have like kids and stuff. But like I'll buy shit and it's just like this pile and pile and pile. And I forget sometimes what the fuck I bought. But I've learned to start making a note of like, okay, here's all the people I'm buying presents for. Here's what I've started to get stuff for. And then also this person has nothing. I need to make sure I go shopping intentionally for that person so that I'm not just like wandering stores and spending money and like not paying attention to what I'm doing. That's been really helpful for me managing my budget, but then also like expectations around who I'm giving to and who I'm like intentionally wanting to like take time out of for. I also think too with managing the stress and prioritizing stuff is like remembering why you're actually having a holiday. Like remembering why you're going to Thanksgiving. Why am I driving to Blanding and spending extra days? Why did we take time off to stay longer? I'm doing it because I like want to be grounded with family time. Like I'm gonna be reminding myself of that every time I'm irritated as fuck down and Blanding. Like remembering why you're doing certain stuff at Christmas, remembering why you have Christmas, like, oh, remembering the fact that there's people that don't have stuff. How can you give more to others? Like, giving more to others will always bring more abundance into your life. If you're in a negative headspace, doing other things, acts of service for other people will immediately start bringing you out of it. It's like proven scientifically, it will happen. Like, if you're feeling low, figure out how you can give more to others. That's just, I don't know.
It's
Bible.
true. Jesus is a reason for the season, guys.
It is a fact. But no, I think it's just like if you're feeling stressed and you're feeling like you can't prioritize yourself or you're doing nothing right or you don't have money, like you really need to ground yourself and like have a come to Jesus and like I don't know. There's so many times I check myself during the holiday season.
Yeah,
And
for
so
sure.
many times where I like vent to Wally where I start getting really stressed out. And he's like, we will always make more money. We always figure it out. Like it's going to be just fine. Like it's not that serious. And I will get to that level where I'm like, ah, and like it's taking a long time for me. Like making a list has been super helpful, but then also like who do I intentionally want to give to and who do I intentionally want to be around? Really.
Yep, I totally agree with that. I also do the list in my phone and it's so helpful.
A list really goes a long way.
I know I'm not like a huge list person, but for Christmas, I'm a huge list person because I used to just buy stuff and throw it in the corner. And then I had no idea like what I had. And then like one of my sisters would have more than the other. And like it was just too much. And I'd be like, I have to run to the store and get something to make this like match up like money wise. And it was just like ridiculous. So a list really is helpful.
I think that's important too, like saying money wise, like money is not the purpose. The quantity is not the purpose. Like it doesn't matter what it looks like. All it matters is that you did something for somebody else. And like,
Yeah.
I don't know where we've gotten to the point where we think that that's what matters is like they're going to be judging you based off of your gift. I don't know if that's like something from our past, but it's like a thing for sure. Like,
it
I
is.
don't know if we just grew up with it. I don't know if it's like from our parents. I have no freaking clue, but it's 1000% like I go through it all the time where I'm like, this doesn't look like a very good present. Sorry.
Yep,
And then I
I
have to be
feel that
like,
all the time.
just accept that you got her something. Like that's okay. If they don't like it, that's not your problem. It's the
Yep,
fact that
that's on them.
you thought I like this. I want to give this to somebody. If they don't like it,
Mhm.
regift it. I don't give a fuck. Just don't regift it back to me.
Yes, please don't.
But the only other thing I have, and you might have better insight on this, is like boundaries during the holiday season and like how to have a balanced and healthy like situation. I I have it easier with boundaries, I would say, but I will say that I also just don't have a lot of people in my life like pulling and like doing things. And because I live like a super structured, scheduled life, like if they did reach out, it would be really easy for me to be like, oh shit, I already have something. Like, sorry, you're late
Mhm.
to the game. Like, I have
Mhm.
no problem being like, I already have a commitment, regardless of who it is. Like,
Mhm.
if it was my grandma and she was like, oh, I'm having a party, it'd be like, Grams, like, it's the week before. Like, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
but I already committed to this thing and like I can't completely dishevel my entire life, because then that takes it out on me. That makes my energy, like, that means I have to reschedule this. That means I have to tell this person no. That means I have to then do this and travel here and do this. Like, I don't think people realize when they last minute and don't plan what someone else has to do to restructure their schedules. Because it's not just my schedule, it's also Wally's schedule and then also our
Mhm.
kids. But on top of that, like, if you get late to the game, my boundary is like, I'm sorry, I already have a commitment. If I don't have a commitment and I can make it work 1000%, but
Mhm.
those are like really the only things that I have is like, if it's scheduled and I have the time and the ability to do it, like I would love to show up. If it's last minute and you are not planning and you think I should just suddenly drop everything, I'm sorry. Like, I have to
I
protect
can't.
myself. And
Yeah.
I've always just had that protection for myself and my time, but I also don't have like that many people pulling at me.
This is definitely a new thing for me that I'm really being intentional. And I actually just had a situation today. I'm not going to go into detail about it, but I had to tell this person, like, I'm really sorry, but this is my boundary and I'm holding to that. And I felt terrible in my mind, but I was like very firm with it. And then this person kind of tried to make me feel guilty. And I just was like, this is my boundary and I'm sticking to it. And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to let you make me feel bad for holding my boundary like this. Like, I was hurt by something this person did, and I am holding to this boundary. And it was very uncomfortable. But I think just like keep reiterating to yourself in your mind. And if you even have to say it out loud, we all know I'm a big talker to myself out loud, but just like telling yourself, like, this is the reason why I'm doing this. I was hurt because of this, or they didn't respect me in this way. And so I need to make sure that I, hold this boundary. This is the reason why I'm holding this boundary. Just because it's the holidays doesn't mean that you have to be lax on your boundaries.
I think it's important to say, like, I don't know if this is how you officially communicated it to. When we say like, this is my boundary and I'm sticking to it, that's not actually what you have to say, because like,
Mm-hmm.
I can understand that people be like, I'm not fucking saying that to someone, they're gonna think I'm a dick. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's what you said. I think there's certain people you can, like, if Taylor said that to me, I'd be like, yeah, I get it, we go to therapy, I understand these words. People
Mm-hmm.
that don't do things like this, you have to say it differently. Like, you do have to communicate it in a way of like, you're not saying it's your boundary. Just fucking fruit fly. You're not saying it's like, you're not saying, I'm sorry, I can't come. I have a boundary with you. Like, that's not what
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to say when we say these
No,
things to you. What
no.
I'm trying to say is like, you need to let them know that, like, unfortunately, I'm not able to make it. And oh, I wish I could, but I'm not going to be able to make it. That's you saying it without having to go into detail necessarily. If they push,
Mm-hmm.
you can open that conversation for sure. But when we say, like, this is my boundary, I'm sorry, I'm sticking to it, that's not what we're actually communicating
Yeah,
to
yeah.
people. So don't, like, I think sometimes people can gloss over that conversation when we have this because they think we're actually saying that. That's not what we're
Mm-hmm.
saying. We're just saying like, oh
That's
shoot,
a good
sorry,
point. That's
I
what
have a
I was
commitment.
saying in my head of like, this is my
Yeah.
boundary and I'm not being lax on this boundary. This is the reason why I have this boundary and this is why I need to stick with this boundary.
I think too is like, when you're putting these boundaries in place, again, you're not communicating it. This is my boundary, I'm sticking to it. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but that's not, like, I would recommend not. But I would say too, like, do your best to not apologize. Like, Taylor and I
Mm-hmm.
learned through Rachel Hollis to like stop apologizing. Like our I'm sorry necklaces was like the best thing that we ever did, I think, is like, and I find myself sometimes like texting sorry, blah, blah, and I'll be like, stop apologizing. Like, you don't need to apologize for this. And I'll like back up and be like, how can I rephrase this without apologizing? Because I didn't actually do anything and I don't feel sorry. I need to not say sorry right now. And so do your best when you're setting your boundaries as well to not apologize when you don't need to apologize. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if it's just point blank, like this is what it is, that's okay. And you can rephrase it. Like if you, it's hard because you need like actual scenarios to break this down, but like if you stop before sending it and be like, okay, I don't want to apologize for this. How can I rephrase this without apologizing? You will come up with
Mm-hmm.
something. So like
Mm-hmm.
backtrack, don't apologize for it, and just put those hard stops in place when you need to protect yourself. That's the only way that you will not overextend yourself. You won't be taken advantage of. You won't
Mm-hmm.
feel like resentful towards people. Like having these things in place will really, really save you during the holidays.
Yeah, for sure.
I was gonna say too, like finding time for yourself during the holidays, that's really hard. I don't have a lot of advice with that. Like
I don't
I
either.
I do my best. I wake up early and I find time for myself that way, but I can't tell everyone like you need to wake up at 5 a.m. and find time
Mm-hmm.
for yourself. But like if you can get time for yourself or time with a friend or step away and go shopping with just them or whatever that still helps you accomplish something that you need to do, but gives you a mental break from your kids or your husband or school or work, like whatever it is, find a way to do that because it's good. You're gonna have late nights, you're not going to be sleeping well, you're going to be stressed. You, if you don't already have a routine, like find little ways that you can like make time for yourself that fill your cup. And my therapist has had me work on this and I still haven't done it, but like figuring out what fills your cup, like
Mm-hmm.
what self-care fills your cup, that's a huge thing. Like if you don't know that, you won't actually be able to accomplish that, but it's going to be really helpful for you during the holidays.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's it. That's all I have.
Yeah, I think that's all I have too.
Sorry for the long episode,
Yeah, that was a
everybody.
long episode. Should we save the asking for a friend for next time?
We should, but the last thing I want to say is if anyone has any good holiday like Christmas recipes, like I would love for you to share them with me. I love a good family recipe, especially when it comes to like holiday things where it's like this is what we always make. My grandma makes this bomb ass fudge and I have tried 3 different times to make it. I cannot make this fudge to save my life, but I will try every year. And if you guys have something that's like really fun and like just wholesome, I would love to share it and we can share it with other people. I think that like sharing family recipes is super cute.
I do like that too. I really do too. But I will never share my chicken noodle soup recipe.
I don't think people, I mean, maybe your family cares, but I don't really care. I think it's like really weird and aggressive. Like it's just fucking soup, man.
I just said that to bother you
You're
because I
not
know it
winning a
bothers you.
you're not winning the fucking prize for like having the best chicken noodle soup.
I
And you
might.
wouldn't because you wouldn't ever share it and then you would never be Bush's baked beans.
What?
They don't share their family recipe either.
Ew, I think baked beans are so gross.
Honestly, I love a good baked bean situation. The maple. Oh my God, my grandma used to make some with this molasses. We used to have molasses in our freezer, our fridge. It was like this big giant thing of molasses. That's what they put in it. And that shit is
Ew,
tar.
sick. Oh,
That shit
that's
is the tar that
disgusting.
Britney Spears was running on in her book. I read that part today where she's running on the hot tar.
All right. Well, thanks for listening
Uh,
to our episode, guys. Sorry it was so long. Make sure that you're following us on all socials. Woo, have the hiccup. Sorry. Like, rate, review, share with a friend, follow us on YouTube. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace out.
Bye bye, bitches.